Hey everybody, hopefully this is working. After last week's technical issues, we are trying a new piece of software, so we're really hoping that this one is more successful. So this is Becky and Sara from Faithful Finish Lines, and this week's Ask Becky and Sara video, we are actually going to address one of the comments we got in last week's video. I actually have the comment right here. Let me pull it up and put it on the screen for you guys. Dee was just asking, one of the things that I talk about in my own weight loss journey is that I tried, let's see if that shows it. That shows part of it. I tried a bunch of different diets, and I never really found one that was the perfect fit for me. And so she was just kind of asking how I pieced together that plan for myself. And of course, there are a lot of different pieces in it, and the best part of the way I did it is that it's just so personalized. So you don't have to count calories or points, or if it doesn't fit for you, you don't have to stay stuck in that one cookie cutter mold. And so one of the things that I did was I had to try something to see if it would fit well or not. But when it didn't, or if I couldn't follow it regularly, one of the questions that I asked myself was, why didn't that work? And did any piece of that work? And if any part of it worked, I kept that with me. So when it came to Weight Watchers, I was on Weight Watchers for a while, and I really liked that it had me paying attention to portion sizes. And that wasn't really something that I had known about before. And so I was learning a lot about food. Well, I didn't want to count points for the rest of my life, even though that works really well for some people, and it did work for me for a short amount of time. But one of the things that I took from that was the portion sizes, and now I use something that's more like it's more like eyeballing portions. There are hand charts. Have you seen those hand charts, Sara? That they show.
Yep, those are great.
Yeah, like they show, your thumb, that's how much peanut butter you should be eating, or a deck of cards, that's how much chicken you should be eating. Things like that have helped me a lot, so that I don't have to weigh food, I don't have to count exact calories or have a label to scan. I just kind of eyeball it and figure it out. So that's just one example. Sara, what about you? What do you think about the best diets that are around?
Definitely. So lots of people who follow my blog know that I'm a big fan of Weight Watchers, and that is how I lost the majority of my 100 pounds. I think it's a great, I don't work for Weight Watchers, but I think it's a great program. I think it's a good way to learn about portion size. Like you said, it's it really gives you some knowledge of, I didn't realize, how many calories I was really drinking in this smoothie or things like that. Really encourages lots of fruits and vegetables, which I think is very healthy. But one of the things I love about our stories is that we both have had success by trying different things. Yeah. And we know that there's not one program that works for everyone. But I am a big fan of Weight Watchers. I also am a big fan of fitness trackers, like a Fitbit or, something like that. At the time that I first started using it, it was a Body Bug. That's like the old-fashioned version. But I learned a ton from that about how much your regular everyday physical activity makes a difference in your overall metabolism, losing weight, just getting up off my chair and moving on a regular basis. So I learned a lot from that too.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the biggest things for both of us, correct me if I'm wrong, is just creating that self-awareness, asking yourself the hard questions. Like, am I following this? Is it working? Why wouldn't it be working? What's stopping me from succeeding here? So no matter what you're following, whether you're doing the Whole30, whether you're keto, whether you're doing Weight Watchers, whether you're on MyFitnessPal all the time, tracking all of your calories, no matter what you're doing, ask yourself, like, are you getting frustrated? Does it feel too confining? Do you feel like you're not able to eat enough variety of foods? Is it taking too much planning? Like, if you can figure out the step of what diet you're following that isn't working for you, then you can fix it. If it's meal planning, there's all kinds of resources out there to help you. If you feel too confined by counting points or calories, then use the hand charts and eyeball portions. There are just so many solutions to fix little fixes. When you feel like the whole thing is a failure, that's not usually true. So just ask yourself the hard questions.
That is so true. And I love how you talk about using those little parts that work for you. And that's a lifelong process. I'm still learning things about myself all the time. And it's changing as my life changes, as I grow in who I am as a person, as my faith grows. I just continue to learn new things as I go and incorporate all of those things. I tried keto a few months ago for a short period of time. And while I decided it wasn't something I wanted to do long term, I learned a lot about that, about, incorporating more healthy fat into my diet, how satisfying that was. You talked about paleo, Whole30, some of those. Well, I'm not really strict on those. I think there's a lot to be learned about how satisfying some of those whole foods are, as opposed to eating like prepared foods. So there really is a lot to learn from some of these different programs. Even if you decide the whole program isn't for you, there's a lot that you can learn from exploring it and either trying it or, even just reading about it. I know, one of the things that members have expressed recently is like, I feel like I'm getting all of this conflicting information and it's so frustrating and I just want to give up. But I think instead, let's look at that, find some of the hidden gems that are in there and use it as part of your weight loss process.
Absolutely. And I think that what you said about just being able to stay flexible in different seasons of your life, that is what's going to make this a lifelong journey for you. Because if you find one plan and it works for 6 months and all of a sudden you're not losing weight anymore, you have to recognize that it's the tools you're learning along the way. So I think I speak for both Sara and I, like, we're still tempted by food. We're still tempted to overeat at night and go and get ice cream and chips. That's those temptations are still there. The difference is we have the tools and the experience to fight back against them now. And that just continues, as the cravings change or as the seasons change in your life, you just encounter new problems and you just learn to equip yourself to face them. It's not that the problems are ever going to go away. It's just, it's just expanding your toolbox and learning what you can do to fight back against that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And, Becky and I have talked so much about letting go of the guilt and how that stops the cycle. That can stop the overeating cycle. That can stop the binge cycle. And it's huge. So again, Becky and I still get tempted. We still overeat sometimes. I might overeat chips or, chocolate or whatever. But now I look at it like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder why I did that. Mm-hmm. I'm just observing, as opposed to in the past, it was like, I'm no good. I'm a failure. I'm never going to lose any weight. And that one change in mindset makes a tremendous difference, because then I don't head down this road of binging, overeating, guilt, more restriction. Instead, it's like, well, I overate some chips. Oh, well. Moving on. And then I get right back on track with healthy eating. So that's a tremendous change that makes a big difference no matter what eating program you're using.
Exactly. And so when we're trying to answer that question, which diet is best, that's one of the things that Sara and I kind of pride ourselves on, is we can work with you ladies wherever you are. Whatever plan you're following, we can work with you. Because, we do focus a lot on the outward habits that we're changing. There's a lot of that involved, but it is really a heart change. This is about your relationship with God and how you view yourself and, how you view God and the people around you. It's so much deeper than just the outward habits. So we just love tackling those inside issues too.
Definitely. Well, this is a fun topic. I know we could talk about it for hours on all of the different things, but each week we want to just hit on one question that readers have. So if you have a question, we would love to hear about it in the comments, and maybe your question will be answered in the upcoming week's videos.
Yep. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.